Okay, let's talk about the brushes that I use. This brush is a hockey brush. It is made out of goat hair. It holds a lot of water and is very, very inexpensive. It's great for backgrounds because it holds a lot of water so that I can get the water on and then start dropping in my colors quickly so I don't have to worry about my background drying before I start getting the colors in. These brushes tend to shed a little bit, but if I find a hair has come out when I'm painting my backgrounds, I just wait until they're dry and then I can just brush the fibers right off. So hockey brushes are great for large areas of laying down water or color. I also like the synthetic brushes. This one is a Robert Simmons Sapphire brush. They are extremely inexpensive for the large sizes that they are. And again, just like my hockey brush, I use this to lay color into my backgrounds. Very, very rarely will I ever use this on my foregrounds. I really just consider this one of my background brushes. Another brush that I like for putting color into my backgrounds, dropping the color in, is this mop hair oval brush, and it's made from squirrel hair and it holds a lot of water. I'll just show you right here. It lays down the color just nice and even and beautifully. This is a great brush. It's a little bit more expensive than the synthetic brushes, but when you really are doing big areas, these squirrel mop brushes are great to have. My other squirrel mop brush that I use, and this one's a round brush, this one's from Raphael. It's a little bit more expensive than the synthetic brushes, but I've had it for years and I have never had a problem with it. It lays down gorgeous color and it holds a lot of water. So I'll use this brush also for dropping color into my backgrounds. The next brush that I use is this Dragon's Tongue brush from Cheap Joe's. Now this one is slightly more expensive than the mop hair brushes. It's made out of Kolinsky sable, but because Cheap Joe's makes it, they are very, very affordable. You can get a whole set, I think it's 6 different sizes for about $180. Now that may make you gasp, but when you realize that one brush this size, this is a number 12, can run you easily a couple $100s with the more expensive brands. So I consider the Cheap Joe's Dragon Tongues very reasonable for what they are. But again, it holds a ton of water. I sometimes will use this to drop color into my backgrounds and also to put color into my foregrounds if I have a big area. Again, it holds a lot of water and it just lays down color beautifully. And I've had this brush for years. I've probably had this brush about 8 years. So I look at it as a very good investment. The brushes that I use the most are these synthetic brushes. Silver White makes them. You can get them from all different companies. They are synthetic. They're springy and bouncy and have an excellent point. And then once you push down and lift back up, they go right back into shape. These are the brushes that I use most to paint my foregrounds. They hold a pretty good amount of water, not as a huge amount of water as the natural bristles, but I don't want a lot of water in my brushes when I'm painting out my foregrounds. I like to have a little bit more control. So I absolutely love this brand of synthetic brush. And they also make a rigger brush, which is really nice if you want to make very, very fine lines, like say it might be a vine or a stamen. So they're just great for that. And again, super inexpensive. I think their brushes range from anywhere from a couple of dollars to the very small sizes up to $4 or $5 for the larger brushes. So there's the brush styles that I use. And now I want to show you my scrubber brushes, because I use those a lot, and I want you to see how I use those scrubber brushes to scrub off color. So I'm going to dry this, and let me show you my scrubber brushes. Before I get going on showing you guys how to use the scrubber brushes, I just want to say a few more words about brushes. And one of the most important things is do not buy student grade paint brushes. They won't hold any water. They usually are cut off flat and don't have a really lovely, beautiful tip. And they're just going to cause you nothing but frustration. If you can't afford more expensive natural hair brushes, you can easily get away with a set of some brushes like these silver white brushes with the synthetic fibers. You could easily get away with a number 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, and that shouldn't cost you more than about $20. And then 1 or 2 of the hockey brushes, which are a few dollars each. And that's really all you need to really be able to produce a nice painting that has beautiful brush strokes in it. Just don't use the cheap brushes. Again, they're going to cause you nothing but problems. All right, so now let's get on to scrubbing out some little areas and why my scrubber brushes are so important. So I'm going to start off with this number 6. I'm going to dip it in clean water, and I also want to point out that the colors that are on here, again, are staining transparent colors. So you would think that it wouldn't make sense that I would put a staining color down and then say I'm going to go scrub them out. But what they mean by staining is that they'll sink in the paper and it's going to stay there until you go and put another color on it. And it's going to stay. That color isn't going to lift and it isn't going to move like an opaque color would do. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about staining colors. So I'm going to turn this a little bit. And I have a paper towel here, and I have a very clean scrubber brush. And the scrubber brushes I use are from Dick Blick, and they're Wonder White. And I will have a link for these brushes in a PDF file at the end of this video. So I've got a good amount of water, and now I'm just going to start scrubbing very lightly. And then I'm going to immediately pick that water up, because I don't want that water sinking back into the paper. Just keep dipping into my water. And surprisingly, look at how you can get that right back to the white of the paper. Yet you can take another color and you can put it over, you can glaze it over that color that you first laid down, and it won't pick it up. So I think that's pretty awesome that you can do that. So now I'm going to show you what happens when I use my bigger scrubber brush. This is a number 12. And I'm going to slowly scrub out just a little highlight. I'm going to go slow. I'm just going in a round circle. And you can see how it pulled out just this beautiful little highlight. And I do this a lot in my backgrounds. So scrubber brushes are very important to me. And that's what you can do with a scrubber brush. So again, these are Dick Blick Wonder Whites, and you can buy them in sets or you can buy them singly. And another thing that I use is this is an oil painter's brush. And what I've done was I taped the hairs off with some masking tape, and then I cut it so that I had like a really nice stiff brush. And this way I can go in and I can take out a very, very fine line if I need to. Like maybe a vein on a leaf or just a line somewhere. And it doesn't wreck my paper. And I can even make a little tiny dot if I need to pick up a little tiny highlight somewhere. So this is why I say that my scrubber brushes are just as important to me as my regular brushes. If I forget to blend out an edge, and I'll show you right here, I can just very gently soften an edge. See how I've made a nice soft edge right there. I'm quickly picking it up again. I can go along this whole edge if I need to and just soften it out. I realized you couldn't really see me make that one scrubbed out area, so I'm going to do it over here. So I'm just scrubbing very gently. Going to have to turn my brush a little bit. Again, I'm just picking up the water as I'm scrubbing. This time I'm going to pick up the bigger one so that I can soften it so that it blends it out nicely into the paint I already have on the paper. And then I'm going to go back with the smaller one. And there you go, scrubbing out with the scrubber brushes. I'm also going to take this little one and make another spot over here so you can see. Again, making sure I have lots of water and then very quickly picking up that water. And there you have it. So there are a few different brands of scrubber brushes out there, but these are my favorite, and one of the reasons why I like them so much is they're slightly rounded and tapered, and they just have a nice soft top on them without any hard edges. So I haven't found any other scrubber brushes that can do to my backgrounds what I need a scrubber brush to do. So we have gone over all the brushes. And again, I'm going to have a PDF file and it will have all this information and a little bit more so that you can make some good brush choices. And again, if you need to, just stick with the synthetic brushes for now and see what you think about them. And then gradually, as you paint more, you can then work your way up to some natural hair brushes. So thank you for watching, and let's get on to some other tutorials. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please check out my homepage and join me for more information-packed tutorials and full watercolor paintings from start to finish for beginner, intermediate, and advanced, all using my simplified method of painting with a limited palette. So join me and let's get painting.